All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. I'm assuming we are, although they still have the problem where before, if you shortened the tab so you made it less horizontally wide, the chat would go to the bottom. It would go underneath the actual video, which is very, very good. Unfortunately, they appear to have updated that and it no longer is a thing. I'm going to check to see if that's not actually the case really quickly. Oh, come on. Can't I have my chat below? I've still got to email the Rumble team about that. That pisses me off. You've taken steps in a good direction, but then you do that. Why are you trying to screw me? Anyway, we have a lot of shit to talk about today. First, the Nashville shooting manifesto. I did change up the topics that I'm going to be covering slightly. Earlier, I was going to cover Engeron's alleged selfies. I'm going to make that a video for tomorrow because, again, I can't even really determine whether that's true or whether that's false because I'm not going to some fucking Facebook alumni page for whatever institution he graduated from. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to bother digging too deep into it either because I don't want to accidentally see Engeron's like shriveled old man scrotum or something like that. So I'll be talking about the Nashville Manifesto, and the reaction by the Nashville mayor is just absolutely off the chain terrible. He should be out on his ass now. There should be 10,000 people protesting outside of City Hall right now in Nashville for the cover-up that was involved with that. I briefly covered it last night, of course. Crowder managed to get a hold of a few pages of what is allegedly the manifesto. The Nashville mayor is promising to mount an investigation to how it was leaked, and therefore that effectively means that it is actually real. It's got racial overtones. It's got a bunch of other crazy shit in it. I mean, it's clearly a manifesto written by a mad person, so that's unfortunate. A bunch of kids die, and what do? You immediately try to cover it up because you're a goddamn screwball cuck. Effectively, I think that the mayor of Nashville is a coward. I think that's what it boils down to. Couldn't have anything to do with his political associations either. Of course, the Democratic mayor of Nashville, the one that called the shots not to release it. We've got a Jewish man who managed to magically die after hitting his own head. That's not actually the case, of course. We're going to be digging into this particular propagandistic bullshit from NBC News. And it's filtered out. Oh my God, you should have seen ABC 7 from LA, and others were replicating the same story. This is way fucking beyond as far as propaganda goes. Again, you don't even need to be Team Israel to see how messed up this is. So we'll be discussing that, don't worry. We've also got a stunning endorsement of Donald Trump by none other than Mitt Romney. Not actually an endorsement, but it effectively is because literally no one likes ketchup on Sam and Romney. Look, I like ketchup on a lot of foods. I put it on scrambled eggs. I'll put it on fried eggs. I put it on any potato-related item other than maybe potato pancakes, although it depends on the day. I'm a ketchup aficionado, but you're not supposed to put it on salmon. That's just not right, and you probably should be exiled for thinking that that's a good idea. Mitt Romney sitting there alone in his bathrobe and his fuzzy slippers, eating salmon that was given to him by Lisa Murkowski straight from Alaska and drenching it in ketchup. It does kind of make a thematic thing that, like, really someone needs to use an AI generator to create such a scene, or at the very least, like a body double or something. Somebody needs to do that. We've also got FISA reform on the docket. I was going to talk about that yesterday, but of course did not live stream. Kim Reynolds' endorsement of Ron DeSantis and my analysis of why it literally doesn't mean anything, but the DeSantis fans are projecting again. This was predictable. And then Vermont has its own shroom man. Yes, $8.5 million worth of psilocybin mushrooms being confiscated from a resident of Burlington, Vermont. I mean, Burlington, Connecticut, actually. My apologies, of course, as a Vermonter. I just make that assumption. He's only 21. So the rest of his life is ruined because he wanted to get people high off of an innocuous substance that is reverse addictive, actually. Another sign of the deadly side of the drug war. If you want to grow $8 million worth of psilocybin, I say more power to you. You're an expert mycologist. That's what I believe. I think you should be able to grow magic mushrooms under your bed if you want to. whether it's for your personal use or you're going to sell it. As long as you're not tainting it or anything like that, you're growing it properly, it's perfectly fine. And people like to get high, and I don't understand why so many lamos out there don't want people to get high. We live in a Bidenomic economy. I mean, this is an entrepreneur. Fuck it. Anyway, we'll get to a couple of super chats here first. Yeah, I mean, imagine how much skill it takes to have a home-growing operation where you've got over $8 million worth of drugs there. That kid was kicking it. Shlomo Goldenstein, a rhino and a Dem are running for mayor in my area. Write in Libertarian Potts for mayor of Danbury, please. Okay, I don't know which state Danbury is in, but you can write in Libertarian candidate Potts for mayor of Danbury. Alan Smithy, Bogos Binted? I know that's a reference of some sort, but I'm not sure what it's a reference to. Also, I'm going to be making some excellent fucking spaghetti tonight with a nice meaty sauce and lots of mushrooms in it and some pepper and some zucchini and shit. I make one of the best goddamn spaghettis you'll get outside of Italy. Although I do plan a trip to Tuscany in the middle of Italy at some point, and probably this winter. And I can't wait. I want a clanker who lives in Italy with like an old Italian grandma who barely speaks English. I will pay you for the spaghetti or the lasagna or whatever she makes. That's what I want. I want the comforting Italian grandma who sings to herself when she's cooking the fucking pasta to make like a gigantic smorgasbord. And then I will come over and you could live stream it probably. Here's the Italian feast live stream. Oh, Christ. Everybody is jealous. Shlomo Goldenstein, Danbury, Connecticut. I thought that it might be Connecticut, but I wasn't sure because, you know, there's I think 3 or 4 Danburys in the United States. Ben Dover, ragu is better. It's better than Prego, but I guarantee you that I make a much, much better sauce than ragu, Prego, anything you can get off the shelf. I make a very, very good tomato sauce. I learned it from Italians. It's the same reason that I make great tacos. I learned from actual Mexicans how to make them. So my food skills definitely have improved over the years. Used to be basically I could make grilled cheese and sloppy joes, and that was about it. Drennan, late because I was out voting. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of elections actually today, I believe, in multiple states. If you are subject to any of those elections, definitely vote against the far left CRT peddlers. That's my official endorsement. Don't know anything about the candidates, just fucking vote against the Democrats, basically. Sigilstone 17. Game streaming over the weekend went poorly. All my games decided I can fuck off and no one could hear my mic. Then I was taking a shower and inhaled some shampoo. Got a doctor's appointment today. My apologies. Wasted Bonehead is probably going to troll you about that, though. Because when he wakes up from his tomb, he's probably going to do that. Chris S., you would love my Nana from Sicily. Yeah, I'm thinking Tuscany, though, not Sicily. It's just, for some odd reason, I've always thought it was one of the most picturesque places in the entire world. Like the rolling hills with the rows of the sycamore trees and the olives and stuff. It just sort of looks like the kind of place that I would like to be, especially in midwinter. You got to realize I'm at a far northern latitude right now. It's further north than Vermont. Vermont's on par with southern France. So there's not a whole lot of daylight here. Basically, dawn is, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 at this time of year. And dusk is 4:30 or something. You get very limited light. You have to take your vitamin D supplements unless you are a real hardcore fish eater. Guess if you like sushi, it's not so much of a problem. Andrew Seberg. Greetings from Omaha, Nebraska. Sticks, mushrooms with spaghetti is awesome. I agree. Liz normally does not like mushrooms in the spaghetti sauce, but has consented to them being put in. Porcini, Mario. Alan Smithy. Good morning from the grave, wasted bonehead. Anyway, we'll get right into it. First news story. The Nashville mayor orders investigation after Covenant school shooters' writings were posted online. The mayor of Nashville, Tennessee, called Monday for an investigation after images purported, we know it because otherwise there wouldn't be a fucking investigation, to be the writings of a shooter who killed 6 people at the Covenant school in March were posted online. Again, I talked about this yesterday. more or less verbatim read the 3 pages of the manifesto that I saw posted, having to substitute a couple of words because they would be banned terms on not just YouTube, but most sites. The 3 images of writings, which were posted Monday by a conservative podcast. You got to point that out so that the liberals don't believe they're even true. And YouTube show host, which means Steven Crowder. You omit that until many paragraphs down. I noticed that. Are said to be from the shooter. NBC News has not confirmed whether the documents are authentic. Well, we can pretty much guesstimate why the documents were not released to the public, I think. Number one, because there's a racial animus expressed. Oh, your mop yellow hair, kill the kids, and kind of grotesque stuff like that. That's number one. And number two, because of the political affiliation of the mayor. That's why there's an investigation into finding out who leaked it. I'm scratching my head thinking about why you wouldn't rather just kick out the mayor, suspend any investigation, find out who did it, and give him an award. Because the public deserves to know. This transgendered shooter decided to kill a bunch of people ostensibly for a partially racial motive. There was racially sensitive language within the manifesto. There were also allusions that I construe as being socioeconomic. That is, that the shooter appears, Audrey Hale, Aiden Hale, supposedly, appears to have had it in for people from higher socioeconomic echelons. That would additionally point to leftoidism. So this is a person who has been effectively brainwashed by communist rhetoric and wokeness, who decided to kill a bunch of people. It's basically like Anders Breivik. When you think about it, I'm going to go to this island and, I'm going to go shoot a bunch of rich people's kids because fuck you. Why isn't this being treated like that? Oh, is it because the racial animus involved wasn't aimed against the diverse crowd? I think that that's probably the reason. There's a reason that they didn't release the manifesto. It's partially racial motive. They would want to cover it up for that. And by the way, the mayor should be out on his ass now. Like he should not get any sleep. People should be protesting all goddamn fucking ready in Nashville against this filth, because this dude is filth. The Nashville mayor is filth. His name is Freddie O'Connell. He should be out immediately. He shouldn't get any rest. I mean, he should have 10 trillion emails in his goddamn inbox right now, and so many calls being fielded that the staffer that he inevitably has pick up the phone, can't even deal with it, and has a nervous breakdown. This dude is filth. He should not be capable of continuing as mayor of Nashville, because there's such a clear motive, as to political motive in his case, as to why this was not released to the public. He and others said, well, we don't want to trigger the families. That's not an excuse. The manifesto needed to be released because it, again, establishes a clear-cut and self-professed motive. You chose not to because it was non-woke. Anyway, and my angry rant about the retard mayor of Nashville, who should not be mayor for more than another couple of hours. People should already be calling the hotline, so to speak. Alan Smithy, good. Oh, I already read that one. You're not getting an extra. Ashley, Nashville mayor held the info because he didn't want leftist parents to hate the ideology and didn't want right-wing parents to radicalize. He's big mad now. Poor sap. The Gal faces. It's Christmas, Tarl Warwick, Fumo plush of you when? Never. The great Scalzini. Good morning, Sticks. Clunk. Oh no, I dropped my mug. Yeah, I actually accidentally broke my BitChute mug some time ago. Had to get a replacement mailed. Thankfully, Ray was kind enough to do that. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Thank you. Taco Bell sent $10. There is no comment, however. Thank you anyway. AP1S2K, reach out to your friends and loved ones, no matter how far gone they are. You don't get a second chance. Mental health equals health. I think you mean mental health. This is not a Quiet Riot album. Suicide destroys so much. It's horrific. It destroys so much. My bullet just blinded me. My best friend wasn't so lucky. It's sad to hear. But if you do have depression or feelings like that or something, it is best to reach out. And if the people around you are screwballs and they give you no support, then reach out to fucking someone else. I've had literally thousands of people talk to me about their depression and suicidal tendencies over the years, especially back when YouTube had a DM function. And I tried to help them the best that I can, and I hope that I did a good job and that some of these people uplifted themselves in life. Deus Flex, let us all appreciate that the state of the UK after recent events red-pilled Elon Musk to the point that he unbanned Tommy Robinson on X. Tommy! Although, for some reason, your N looks weird there. There's something wrong with the text on that. Or maybe you couldn't actually put Tommy Robinson in. You had to use like a, I don't know. Scott Christie Jones. I'm Scott C. Jonesy on X. Any Clank Nation Bridge? Scott C. Jonesy for the Brits of Clank Nation. Of course. I think there's one of Sigil Stone. And now on to the question of why the school intervened in a lawsuit and wanted to keep the manifesto hidden. I wonder why. Could it be they're teaching things close to what the manifesto was saying? Yeah, that's possible too, although it was a Christian school. Originally, I said there was the possibility that Audrey Hale had been abused, like by a staffer or a priest or something at the school. That may or may not still be the case, but there's definitely an element of racial and probably an element of socioeconomic animus that points to leftoidism. So I'm thinking that an individual, Hale, who was in the sheltered moralistic existence, sort of like lashed out at the system by, killing the people that were more well off, killing the white oppressors, sort of going like, pure far leftoid, effectively. Like Antifa on steroids. Like Antifa if they actually knew how to fight, or something like that. Next news story is sickening, of course. This is from NBC News. I'm going to read you the headline, and then I want to, if you haven't already seen the story, and most of you unfortunately already have, I want you to give your feelings. What would you think that the subsequent story actually is about? Jewish man dies after hitting head in altercation at dueling pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian rallies in California. Go ahead and absorb that for a second. I'll read it again. Jewish man dies after hitting head in altercation at dueling pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian rallies in California. When I first see it, my natural inclination is, he was grappling with another person and he bashed his head against the wall. Maybe he had an aneurysm or something. It burst or something like that. Unintentional death. No, what actually happened is he was smashed in the head with a megaphone, knocked to the ground, knocked unconscious, and then died of a brain bleed. That's murder. And it's being charged as a homicide for that reason. But I'm seeing perilously few goddamn legacy media articles pointing that out. You can read down in the article and you'll find that out. But again, it's lie by structure. And this is one of the biggest lies of the legacy media. Most people only read that title. And so they didn't really react to it. They're not going to bother digging further. Oh, I'm sad a dude died. Well, that's sad. But, people hit their heads and die sometimes. Let's go down through the article. Where does it actually talk about the goddamn actual homicide? Oh, that's right. The Ventura County Medical Examiner's Office determined the cause of death to be blunt force head injury and the manner of death, homicide, the sheriff's department said in a statement. But where is that in the article? Oh, it's 5 paragraphs down, evincing exactly what I've said about the legacy media multiple times. The fact is that they don't want that to be near the top of the article because then people will have more of a visceral response because then they have to say murdered. No, he didn't get murdered. He just died. He hit his head on the pavement. Very, very sad for him. It's too bad that his head only hit the pavement because he was knocked down by a person assaulting him. Again, you do not need to be Team Israel, which I'm not, to understand the structure of this article is very, very strange. We'll use the loose term on that one. Wow. It begins. A lady in Indiana crashed her car into an Israeli school. Turned out to be an anti-Israel school. Lol. Leftoids starting to get violent. I did see that earlier. I'll probably be reporting on that tomorrow. Yeah, it was a lady who, again, deliberately, I think she admitted this to the police, deliberately smashed her car into a school to try to kill or at least intimidate Jewish people. Yeah, it definitely has begun. There's also Islamophobia stuff going on right now. And I say, again, I use that term in the loose sense because I'm a critic of Islam the same way I am of Judaism as a religion. Criticism of Islam is not Islamophobia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there are people out there that are like, yeah, kill them all. And it's like, I just sit back as an American looking at the situation, which is, more inflamed, but not markedly different on its nose from the situation that's been there in the Levant the whole time for centuries, well, technically millennia. And I say, why the fuck are we even bothering to get involved? Why can't people like come to the New World and just fucking live in peace? Okay, you practice Islam, you don't eat pork. He's Jewish, he doesn't eat pork either. You got something in common. Why don't you have a non-pork BLT or something like that together and sit down and talk about how stupid the old worlders are to keep shooting each other? Unfortunately, there's something wrong with a lot of people in this world. There's a lot of bottled up hate and animus, and I just never really understood it. Because I just can't. I can't empathize with that, because like even when I get mad, like my intent is not, well, I'm going to go and kill a bunch of people that are unrelated to why I'm mad. Oh my God, my great-grandfather got screwed in a business deal and the person happened to be Islamic or they happen to be Jewish or something. I think I'll take it out on people that have absolutely nothing to do with that generation. It doesn't make any sense. I may be naive. Maybe you think I sound like a bit John Lennon-ish, or hopefully not Yoko Ono-ish at the moment, but really, can people just fucking calm down and fucking leave each other alone? The fuck is wrong with you? I mean, it's barely even human to act in such a manner, or maybe it's all too human because people are monkey-like. Sparky, with thousands of children killed in Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel, maybe Alex Jones... I don't know if I can even use that term in that context on YouTube. Comments on a certain shooting won't seem as bad to Elon, and he will let Alex on X. Elon banned Alex from Twitter, not X. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that would be a Rubicon too many for Elon Musk. I think that his investors would get a little bit nervous, and really he is ultimately in it for the money. It's just that free speech is capable of making money. He realizes this. Twitter sets itself up as the alternative to the other mainline sites and gives you a little more free speech, and he profits from that. He's not going to give you total free speech because he's not a principled libertarian. He's doing the right thing, but he's doing it primarily for personal reasons. I respect it. I have no problem with Elon Musk making a shit ton of money. In fact, I think he should make more money. Some of the dude's ideas are highly inventive, but he's not a free speech warrior. Joe Castillo. Can you make another video on jury nullification, but can appeal to Dems? I live in a small city in California, and I'd like to spread awareness of it to everyone in town on my spare time. Yeah, I could do that, because that's a nonpartisan issue. Everyone should nullify juries. Most of the laws are bullshit. I'll just focus. Yeah, I'll do that in the coming days. In fact, I'll put it on the docket literally right now. I know I'm going to title it. Jury nullification. Jury nullification, why it matters, or something like that. I'll pop that in. Yeah, I'll try to make it like a left-wing sort of jury nullification video, like, you know, the drug war, and yeah, I won't mention, you know, guns, I suppose, because some people are cucks out there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. The Shadow Band, glad to catch you live. Glad you could catch me live and give me money. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the reasons to stream. Wow, people's actions reflect their internal beliefs. So if they act violently, well, you get the picture. Yeah, some people are retarded. Absolutely. It's sad because it seems to be a large proportion of any population too. I wonder why we can't have nice things. Next news story, we're going to talk about Mitt Romney. Yes, he's actually relevant for another 5 seconds of fame here. This is by Mike Singleton. Now, backstory. Mike Singleton is a leftoid. He's a TDS sufferer. Fucking hates the Republican Party. Fucking hates Trump, especially Trump, and anyone associated with him. And he's got severe Trump derangement syndrome, and he has like the worst takes possible. He's like the ultimate leftoid weirdo. That being said, he decided to praise Mitt Romney and to post this. Revealed for the first time the scathing email Mitt Romney sent to his advisors in 2018 about Donald Trump. So this is fucking ancient history, but it's just being revealed, so it's juicy. He was the last person I wanted as the Republican nominee. I made that clear. After he won the nomination, I watched his campaign to see if he might surprise me. He did not. When he won, I hoped he would rise to the occasion. His call for me to potentially serve at state fueled that hope. After all, I had been a very vocal detractor. Unfortunately, President Trump did not grow to match the office. His smallness has instead diminished it. The American president has long served as a model for the nation. Did you, by the way, extend that to Obama? It's an open-ended question. Few would imagine holding Donald Trump up to their children to emulate. Well, I mean, he did become a billionaire, so you could do worse. What's the alternative? Hold Mitt Romney up here. Hey, kid. Hey, my daughter. I want you to be corrupt and then a loser. Mitt Romney with Joe Biden. I want you to become demented and corrupt. With George W., I want you to kill 500,000 people and be corrupt. I think I'd rather go with Trump. The only problem with Trump is he's being legally persecuted. Mitt Romney's been apparently bitching about him behind his back now for more than half a decade. I wish I could say that surprised me. Anyway, the dude eats salmon with ketchup on it, so there might be a reason that he's got some fucking issues. Do you remember, by the way, when Mitt Romney was running for office against Obama, what a shit show that was? This is effectively him being jealous because Trump won and he didn't. This is nothing more than a personal squabble. This is his personal grudge because his fellow rich person, and they are both massively rich, Mitt Romney's net worth, I think, is upwards of $100 million. He's got a car elevator. This is a running joke during the campaign. He's jealous because the other donor classer made it, and he did everything to suck the cock of the establishment and lost. That's what it's about. And he lost to the black dude. And if you think that Mitt Romney isn't exactly like all the other rich white liberals out there, you're completely nuts. He's sad because he lost to a person of color more than anything else. He's sad because he sees Trump win. And so naturally, of course, he doesn't want him to win again. That's probably why this was put out now. Not that anyone's really going to listen to what Mitt Romney has to say. He's not even running for re-election. I wonder fucking why. Sparky, good, bad, or indifferent, at least some people are protesting something without astroturfing. Yeah, I mean, I support anti-war protests. I'm just, when I see people, throwing the Molotovs or vandalizing, I can't support that because that's a legit crime, number one. And when it's like, the Free Palestine thing, okay, that's fine. But then some of these people are shouting out Hamas slogans. And I'm not going to support Hamas because they would probably toss me off a building for being a pagan. So, Deus Flex, as Rodney King of all people said, can't we all just get along? Yeah, literally. I mean, at some point, are we going to evolve mentally as a species and stop with the bullshit? We could build so many things if we weren't destroying them constantly. Most people would rather tear down statues than build them. Takes less effort, I suppose. They're low effort, low IQ individuals. Dan Malone 53 sent $5. No comment. Thank you. Wilhelm, with Palestinians out of the way, Israel has more ease manning their Suez Canal. There's not going to be an Israeli canal. That is a pipe dream. It'll be just like the canal that China wanted to build in Nicaragua. The Great Scalzini. To my right, Warhawks, and my left, brain-dead commies. In my mind, everyone in this political football game is terrible. Yeah, so it's a little bit like, watching two really bad sports teams fend off against each other and, nobody even cares because it doesn't really matter. Eli, Angron's name is pronounced the same as the demon Primarch Angron from Warhammer 40k, who serves the blood god Khorne. Angron has a great backstory, unlike Angron. Blood for the blood god. Interesting. There's definitely a problem with the super chats and the format on StreamYard at the moment. It's not a major one, but it's just one because I'm autistic. It fucking sucks. And I'm hyper-focusing on it. Next news story. House GOP crafting major FISA reform to block snooping on Americans' phone records without warrants. Yes, this is being led by Jim Jordan, among other people at the moment. And it's actually semi-bipartisan. We may actually end up seeing the day in which FISA, that system by which government agents can just warrantlessly wiretap anyone without any cause whatsoever. And they literally have the ability to do this to their boyfriends and girlfriends and kind of creepy shit like that. It's like a Herbert Hoover sort of, it's like a J. Edgar Hoover sort of thing. That might actually be reformed. We might actually finally see the day in which that happens. The last time in which comprehensive FISA reform was entertained was many, many years ago. And it actually involved a filibuster led by none other than Rand Paul. that was co-sponsored and signed onto by none other than Ted Cruz. This is a fascinating bit of political history for people that weren't there or just weren't with it and didn't care in the middle of the 2010s. What happened is that the FISA system, the NSA, things related to the spying apparatus were being queried by Congress. That's because over and over and over again, numerous whistleblowers, and by numerous whistleblowers, I mean a combination of WikiLeaks and certain people that are currently in Russia, which is not suspicious, but it's held up by the legacy media as being suspicious, et cetera, et cetera. They made revelations with regards to that spying apparatus. We were told originally that it was just metadata and it was on foreign targets. Then we were told, oh, no, actually, some domestic info gets swept up because they're talking to a foreign target. Then we found out it was more than metadata. Then we found out it didn't need a foreign target to be swept up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Clapper went on the stand before Congress and told them straight up, the system doesn't even work because we've got so much information that we can never filter it, which is why I made a video several weeks ago about the CIA and its presumptive usage of AI to filter information. They want to mass gather the data. They just don't have the manpower to go through it all. They're hoping to make it more efficient so they can keep spying on everyone. But they might not be able to because the whole system may get reformed. What ended up happening was that Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and some others filibustered. And they said, we're not going to renew the NSA spying. We're not renewing FISA. We're not renewing any of these things. It's not going to happen because it's unconstitutional. What happened at the last moment? And what was the reason why I declared, God, it must have been, Christ, I think almost a decade ago now. Why was the reason why I declared I would never support Ted Cruz in a presidential candidacy? Although he has redeemed himself slightly recently, I still never could because of this. It was because at the last moment he broke the filibuster, breaking with Rand Paul after the people that were running the system said, okay, we'll put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound was the term that I used at the time, and I still use it quite frequently. It's often a fixture of government. We'll make sure that that data is stored on private servers by the companies we're querying. So we have to go through them to actually access it. As we've seen, though, with the Twitter files, etc., it doesn't take a whole lot of coercion to get that information from the fucking companies now, does it? It was effectively at the last moment, at the 11th hour, Ted Cruz caught. That's why I can never really support him. Rand Paul stood his ground, and by the way, he looked fucking pissed at Ted Cruz at the end there. So yeah, FISA may finally be reformed. I mean, it should be effectively done away with, but if you manage to castrate it, I guess that's the next best thing. It's better than nothing. It's better than Ted Cruz and his suggestions. The Great Scalzini, did you watch Razor on Side Scrollers? I didn't know Stuttering Craig was still around. Talk about a blast from the past. No, I haven't seen a Razor. Actually, the last Razor Fist video I saw was me rewatching the Lincoln one for like the 4th time. I like that video. It's very informative, by the way. You should watch it. Razor Fist, his video on Lincoln. Sigil Stone, don't be too excited over FISA reform. I saw something on the news a couple days ago about states passing laws to allow private citizens to conduct wiretapping in the name of catching child predators. Yes, the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. Oh, well, think of the children. We're going to help children not be trafficked. Everyone supports that, unless they're a child molester, of course. And so you wouldn't want to be pro-child molester, would you? Let the government spy on you, or else you want kids to get diddled. That is the way that they sell it. But then again, how did they sell like FISA and the NSA's wiretapping and all of these attendant things? You're going to get killed by terrorists if you don't support this. So if you don't support this, you must be pro-Al-Qaeda. You love Osama bin Laden. You want to suck his dick, and we'll be reigned over by Islam and stuff like that. Wow, stand with Rand. Ted is led. Yeah, and just think, he's one of the better members of the GOP at the moment. Ted Cruz, I mean, not because he has improved, in any massive sense, but because the GOP is so fucking decrepit and so filled with neocon dross like Mitch McConnell. Ted Cruz sounds relatively sane. Never thought I'd catch myself fucking saying that. You live long enough and you really do see a lot of paradigm shift within politics. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. If you go back, by the way, Wasted, you'll see Sigil had a little bit of a problem earlier, and I thought you were going to troll him about it. Next news story. Could Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds' endorsement give DeSantis the boot? I almost said boots he needs. I just caught myself. Boost he needs. I almost said boots. Oh boy. That was unintentional humor. Here's my analysis. My analysis is no. I don't think that Kim Reynolds' endorsement is actually going to move the metric. I think that DeSantis will gain a couple of points from this, which means he probably doesn't come in third to Nikki Haley, which means, you know, she's screwed because she probably outdoes him in South Carolina and possibly New Hampshire. So the battle for second place may linger on longer. And if anything, that's probably a good thing for Trump. Kim Reynolds does not have massively high approval in the state of Iowa, including among some Republican enclaves. This will piss some of them off more. That's number one. Number two, Donald Trump is 25, 30 points ahead in the aggregate. It depends on what poll you ask. It looked like there was a slight cooling off in the polls in the last aggregated period, but we don't know if that's going to remain in that direction. I think he has Trump, rather. I think he has a pretty high floor at this point, somewhere in the mid-40s. The problem for any other candidate is, even in a state that's fickle like Iowa, because of the caucus system and shit, it's not entirely clear that with at least two other candidates within the viability range, there's any possibility of supplanting him. I would say the chance is so slim, I write it off. DeSantis will gain a couple of points from this. It's better to be endorsed by the governor than have your fucking opponent endorsed by the governor. She could have come out and endorsed Nikki Haley. She could have come out and endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy, or fucking Chris Christie or something. It's helpful to the DeSantis campaign. But when you're running that far behind your opponent with someone nipping at your heels, just barely behind you or roughly tied, which is Haley, I don't think that it changes much because everyone already understood that Kim Reynolds was likely to endorse somebody other than Trump, because Donald Trump came out and lambasted her on several occasions. Donald Trump is not a fan of Kim Reynolds. By the way, you walked into a bit of a Trump trap as well, because the problem is that Kim Reynolds is on record as cheering on Donald Trump repeatedly and gushing about him endorsing her when she was running for the gubernatorial slot, which means that it makes her look like a backstabber, at least to core Trump fans. But that core is about 40 points within the GOP. That's already far ahead of anyone else's polling numbers. Even if you had a 10-point swing because of this, it would not change the metrics of the race in any appreciable manner. It just means that you would get your healthy, solid second place showing that Ron DeSantis so desperately needs, but he might not even get that. Nobody's going to remember the endorsement in a couple of weeks. Although I'm sure the DeSantis fans will talk about it well beyond that. Well, he was endorsed here. That's why you should vote for him. Well, again, if your gubernatorial approval is, low-end middling, it's not terrible, but it's not, way up there. She's not at 70% support or something. What the fuck? I don't know that it really matters much. Naturally, people pointed this out, including myself, that it didn't matter particularly. When we pointed it out, the fact that we were even mentioning the story caused the DeSantis fans to throw up their hands and scream, oh my God, well, if it didn't matter, you wouldn't even comment on it, as though content creators who do socio-political content don't regularly and routinely comment on things, even when they're not particularly meaningful, simply giving their opinion about the fact that it's not particularly meaningful. I found this to be very funny. So yeah, Kim Reynolds did endorse Ron DeSantis, which will slightly change the results of the Iowa race. Instead of maybe a 7-point swing that I was expecting before, maybe he hits 9, maybe 10 or something like that. It's not going to matter in the end. Donald Trump will be winning Iowa. So let him gloat about it, about the gubernatorial endorsement. You'll see in polls, and then they'll complain about it too. They'll say the polls are fake, like they were the other day with the Siena polls. And they'll say that it's not true. The great Scalzini, don't put it past Ron to raid Kim's closet for boots. Ice poll. Would it be World War to disrupt 2024 instead of Hong Kong? Certain disease I can't probably mention, like last time. No, I don't think that a world war has broken out. I think a regional war is getting more and more likely, though, over there in the Levant. Deus Flex. Am I the only one who noticed the Jackson Hinkles of the world simp for Putin's bombing of Ukraine in the name of denazification, then all of a sudden claim to be against these tactics as Israel bombs Gaza? Nobody cares about Jackson Hinkle. He's a walking meme. By the way, he doesn't even believe what he's peddling. I can see through him very simply. He decided to be the brown milk. Ironically, Chris Whalen, CPA, good book, by the way. You should buy it on Amazon, available now. The idea is simply be unique. Have flair. Be extravagant. Stand out. Like a fucking peacock or something. Jackson Hinkle dreamed up the concept of, what would be the most self-defeating possible ideology you could possibly dream of? And you'll get a lot of attention by constantly yammering to people about it. MAGA communism. Oh, make America great again, but with Marxist-Leninism. Well, I mean, the ideology doesn't exist. The accounts mainly that are following the ideology are bots and burners more than anything else. But it gets attention. It drives people up the wall trying to debate the people that actually believe in the shit, so it gets you lots of attention. What does attention mean when you're on the internet? Fucking money. Why do you think that I dress the way that I do? Sparky, Telecom Act of 1996 not only allowed previously forbidden news media corporate consolidation, but also removed logistical barriers to government electronic surveillance. Repeal the Telecom Act of 1996. Probably a good idea, yeah. But yeah, Kim Reynolds is like, who gives a fucking shit? Just a second here. I think I've lost my place over on Rumble. Yeah, where are we? The cat's playing with one of the baby toys over there. She does that at night too, wakes me up. She had a grand time at like 2 a.m. Wasted Bonehead Sticks, I recently learned something awful. Toast is bread in blackface. Therefore, anyone caught eating toast must be executed by the woke mob. Mulcara 85. Toast is just bread in blackface. That's my contribution to this stream. Did you think... Never mind. I'm not even going to delve into that. Oh, yeah, I stole that joke from Impure Hunter. Mulgera, Impure Hunter is me on Twitter. Follow me if you want. Lol. Okay, so you got the joke from you. I was confused. I thought I was having a stroke for a second there because you both posted basically the same thing. I'm like, what? King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping for your Biltong using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and www.antonsusa.com. Sticks mugs are now available with extra large Sticks logo. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yes, we have mugs back for all of you people out there who wanted mugs for a long time and I could never really lock it down so somebody could actually produce and release them and there was anything coming through. We do have mugs now available on antonsusa.com. So go and get yours and clank along. And they look like they're good quality too. By the way, Anton, I'm going to need one of those. I was thinking his and hers mugs maybe, if that wouldn't be a problem. I'll pay for them, although sometimes when I use my card from the Netherlands, I get locked out of my bank account, so I'll see what I can do. I can't use PayPal because PayPal fucking sucks dick at this point. Wise.com, which was recommended by multiple subscribers, is much better than PayPal. BDan82, what do you think of the Koch brothers? Which actually I call them the Koch brothers. Neocons, basically, sellouts more than anything. Wham! MAGA communism is an oxymoron, lol. Yeah, exactly, and I tried to explain how it was irreconcilable, and, you're going to get dogpiled by people who want to draw you into the conversation because you're a content creator, okay? I've got a lot of people that follow me. So if I comment on it, it gives attention to the non-entity that is MAGA communism, which is why eventually I just rolled my eyes and said, okay, fuck off, and I stopped addressing it entirely. I'm only addressing it here because Jackson Hinkle was mentioned explicitly. And then the final news story, Burlington man, which originally I thought meant Burlington, Vermont. I was very sad to notice that this wasn't a Vermonter, it's actually in Connecticut. Arrested for growing $8.5 million worth of shrooms. That is Psilocybin cubensis, magic mushrooms, which I used once before. I wasn't actually myself a fan. I was a fan, I liked acid. And mescaline was great, although I only got borderline effects when I used it. I used it twice. The first time, it didn't really do anything. Mild visual change for a short time. Second time, I felt like this tingling sensation up and down my spine that felt like I was being massaged, and it was absolutely glorious, but I didn't use quite enough because I always tended to be very cautious with my doses. except sadly with psilocybin and later spice, of course, which is why I can't use drugs anymore. With psilocybin, I obtained some when I was at UVM, and I thought, okay, I've got a dose of mushrooms. The problem is, and I probably should have known this from the price that I paid, it wasn't psilocybe cubensis. It was psilocybe azarescens, which is 4 times as powerful. So I'm using the shrooms, and I'm thinking I'm taking, okay, it's a dose. It's a mild dose. I'm going to get a little bit of a psychedelic trip. It's going to be fun for a few hours, and then I'll conk out and go to sleep. I'll watch a movie, and I'll play with the gelatinous ceiling and stuff, and then I'll conk out at some point. But that's not what happened. Oh, yes, the ceiling did literally turn to jelly. And it was flashing colors and undulating. It looked like, I mean, literally, I'm looking at the ceiling lamp, and it looks like a little miniature sun. And it's surrounded by an entire galaxy of swirling liquid. I look at the floor, it's changing colors and moving around, which did cause nausea, strangely. I could pick it up in my hand, and it would melt into my hand. And I'm like looking at myself like this, and the floor is dripping off my hand. I saw myself surrounded with a crystal cathedral towering up into the heights, like the room disappeared. And all I'm seeing is this enormous crystalline structure. It's made of like the shiniest, like imagine like multifaceted diamonds and dew-covered spider's webs or something like that. And I was like, holy shit, this is some strong stuff. Problem is, it got a lot stronger than that. And at some point, it became too strong for me because I hadn't used it before. And I said, fuck this. And I went to bed. I woke up at some indeterminate point a few hours later and thought I was covered in blood because I touched myself. I was all sweaty. And when I looked at the sweat, it looked like blood. I'm like, oh shit. At some point I blacked out and I injured myself while I was high. Fuck. I turned on the light. Of course, the illusion was gone. I'm not covered in blood. I'm just very sweaty. And I came out of it about 10 minutes later and I was like, oh, thank fucking God. Thank God the shrooms are gone. And it's funny because most people say shrooms are chill and acid is harder. But I took LSD 3 different times and I fucking loved it. Not going to lie, disclaimer, I'm not telling you to use these substances. I'm just saying that when I used them at the time, I had a fucking great time with LSD. Psilocybin, not so much. Again, there was a reason. If I had had a regular dose, I'm sure that it would have been a mellow, fun time. That's not the experience that I had. Don't even ask me about the spice overdose. Holy shit. I thought the ambulance driver turned into the devil at one point. It was a little bit of a difficult, few months of my life. Ended up in the psych ward, actually. Just a little bit about my drug exploration. But anyway, back to the actual news story. He's now charged with possession and intent to sell narcotics. No shit. And operation of a drug factory. By the way, this is from Hartford. There's a typo in here. Operating of a drug factory. So you need to fire your copy editor. I don't think that anyone should go to jail for growing drugs. Psilocybin can be found out in the wild anyway. Liberty cap, psilocybe cubensis, etc. It's all available out there in nature, along with amanitas and a bunch of other good shit. Morning glory, commonly found in gardens. The Ipomoea tricolor heavenly blue, specifically, and pearly gates, and flying saucers, which maybe that gets you tripped out even more based on the name. All available, in any seed store. You should not eat the seeds because they are usually treated with stuff to keep them in the shelf longer without sprouting, and they are mildly poisonous. But I can use it. It's basically LSD Junior. I used Morning Glory dozens of times. I used pretty much everything other than hard drugs that I could get my hands on. Loved Salvia divinorum, and it was legal when I used it. One time, when I was using Salvia, my computer turned into a cobblestone road. Okay, I'm looking at the laptop before me at the time. I was actually on the phone with my Canadian friend. He's not a friend anymore because he went nuts, but he's become a commie, actually. But he was heavy into drug use, too. He tried Salvia and went completely apeshit because he had I think he was autistic or something, and it really fucked him up. And he was screaming at his mother on the phone. I'm like, dude, chill out. Didn't know what was going on. I thought he was going to kill her or something. But I was on the phone with him, and I'm looking at the keyboard, right? All the keys start turning into cobblestones. And I felt myself like drawn down this weird, wavering, airy path of pieces of my keyboard. And apparently I said, I can't even fully remember this. I said something to my friend like, I've got to go kill the Turtle King. I thought I was in Super Mario or something. Again, I'm just reliving some of my fun drug adventures here. Again, disclaimer, I'm not telling you that they're safe or that you should use them. And then, of course, check the legality and all that other legal bullshit that I've got to say as a content creator. But yeah, I used salvia quite a bit. Again, I tended to be cautious with it, though. That was the most high I got on salvia. Most of the time, it gave me more mild effects. Like, for some reason, I felt like the world shifting past my right side. It felt like I was dragging myself along a wall or a conveyor belt or something. I don't know. I think that he should be released. I don't think it should be illegal to grow $8.5 million worth of mushrooms. And you know, the only reason why it's illegal is because it's a non-taxable transaction. You're pumping money into the economy that's not being taxed every time it changes hands. That's the only reason that there's a drug war. It's also the reason for prohibition, which brings me to an interesting point about what's his Cernovich earlier. He was claiming that prohibition worked. No, it doesn't, Cernovich. I like some of your content, but on that one, I don't understand why you persist in being so consistently wrong. Citizen Zero, premonition for 24. The recent overturning of an election by Democrats' ballot stuffing will be used as precedent against Trump in 2024 in embattled states. Possible. Sigilstone, Jesus, dude. You tried to go light speed and instead did warp factor 9. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil is away. Time to talk shit. Sigil has a small peepee. Sigil. Bonehead's brain rotted away completely. Confirmed. Wasted Bonehead. I consume other people's brains on a regular basis, but I'm a rotting corpse. What's your excuse for being brainless? Sigil. My excuse is Bonehead's mom fucked my brains out. This is becoming the ultimate rivalry between clankers. You two are going to end up on a mug someday, probably too. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Bonehead, lol, she died in 1847. You saying you're a necrophile? Sigilstone, yes. I make money off of this exchange. This is what my career has become. I fucking love it. Sparky, one of the Koch brothers died several years ago, so now it's the Koch brother. Wow, TE, if all drugs were legalized, what would happen? There'd be more addicts, but they would also have better treatment, and you wouldn't see no-knock raids in the middle of the night killing even more people. I believe in better addiction treatment. Of course, I've struggled with addiction myself, and I've not made a secret of that. That's what we should do. We should do for them what we do with alcoholics. We don't shun them from society and throw them in jail for 20 years or something like that because they had too much booze in their house. Now, if a person's making their own wine, typically, yeah, you can be charged potentially with manufacturing alcohol without a license, but is it really something that happens? No, and unless they're selling it. But with drugs, for some reason, they don't have to prove intent to sell. Now, I realize if it's $8.5 million worth of drugs, you clearly intend to do something other than use it yourself, unless you are one crazy-ass motherfucker. But who cares? I don't care if you have a bathtub full of LSD. Don't give it to kids. Don't taint the supply with fentanyl or something like that. And hard to do that with an acid tab, the size they are. And who cares? Fuck the taxes. Fuck the government. Government kills more people than drug addicts ever have. Ice Pole. It's wet and warm in the south of England. Liberty Cap season right now. Doc Holliday. I don't think Dementia Joe will bow out because if they try to force him out, his dementia will cause him to have a total meltdown. What say you? It seems like he is actually going to be their nominee, and he does really intend to stay in. Good luck getting rid of him if that's truly the case. MF Damien. Best psilocybin experience I've had is a moderate dose of Golden Teacher strain. It felt like the best parts of weed plus love and comfort. Inexplicably strange, but awesome. 10 out of 10. Yeah, no, I mean, my psychedelic days are over as of 2010 or 11 or thereabouts. I haven't used anything. I'm drinking, obviously. Cigarettes for a while, but other than that, I can't even smoke weed anymore. My receptors got blown out by my spice overdose. I literally can't even use weed, which is funny because I'm in like the weed capital of the fucking world right now. There are head shops all over the place. It's perfectly legal. People walk down the street smoking weed. Nobody cares. They also walk down the street drinking constantly. Apparently, that's not illegal either. You know, public intoxication is supposedly a huge problem and a misdemeanor offense in the U.S. Here, it seems to be the norm. It's like at big get-togethers on holidays, they install a rule like you can't have more than one opened drink at a time or something like that. People guzzle which means you can have a big-ass bottle of wine, by the way, or a bottle of fucking vodka, and you can chug it walking down the street and nobody gives a shit. Should look at the blood alcohol level that experienced drivers are allowed to have in certain European countries without getting in trouble with the law unless they do something illegal. It's kind of strange to an American. Not a banned account. What makes you think the USA will have a 2024 election? Because we self-evidently will. That would be definitely too far even for the deep state at this time. By the way, please send no more super chats because I've got to go offline at some point. I'm making spaghetti tonight. It will be absolutely fantastic with mushrooms and zucchini and pepper in the sauce, of course, homemade sauce. I don't get that store-bought shit, ragu and prego, although ragu is the better of the two. I should do a poll on that. You know, there's probably a sibling rivalry between eaters of ragu and eaters of prego. Suck duck, when did caring about your citizens become fascist? Apparently in the last few years. Yeah, anyway, the mushrooms that I'm going to be adding to the spaghetti sauce are not the fun kind. They're just the tasty kind. Psilocybin tastes a little bit like almonds, or at least the strain that I got. Amanita muscaria tastes like fucking horse shit. It's like chewing on rotting wood, and then it makes water taste like battery acid when you try to drink out the flavor. So don't bother. Like, if, you know, disclaimer again, I'm not telling you to do this, but if you did decide to use Amanita muscaria, you shouldn't bother to try to drink water unless you have to, because it ain't going to taste good. Make your entire mouth feel like you just swallowed concentrated lemon juice. Not a banned account. I'll super chat if I want. You're not my real dad. Yeah. Think about alcohol. Alcohol is the worst drug because it has calories. You know, weed doesn't have any calories. It won't make you all bloated and fat or anything like that. So, yeah, there's one advantage. It's also less addictive. As any alcoholic who's used weed will tell you, wasted bonehead sticks. I'm literally wasted 24/7. Don't talk shit about alcoholics. I'll tell you when I've had enough. Yeah. I've gone on some binges before. Yeah. Believe it or not, I've been a little bit of a party boy throughout periods of my life. I'm sure that none of you could possibly suspect that. You thought I was a good Christian choir boy or something. Never had premarital sex, did any drugs, drank a drink, you know, beyond maybe like one with dinner. Never did any of those things. Absolutely not. Alan Smithy, I'm here to see motherfucking doom. In fact, one of the few things that I haven't done, I've never skeeved on my taxes, which is a common crime. Why? Because I'm fucking paranoid. Biden's the president. He's currently running the IRS, and I make six figures. So, and I have strong political opinions. Trust me, if the IRS audits me, I will be absolutely fine, which cannot be said for many people out there because they're goddamn crazy. You should have heard some of the stories that the tax office that I do my taxes at, having some small talk while, you know, we're talking about some of my write-offs and stuff. And you wouldn't believe some of the stories that are told. Like, people will come in with stacks of receipts for literally everything and write it all off individually. And so they got the receipts. It's just, you know, if you get audited, you sort of have to show that that's actually something that you're allowed to write off. Most people are not self-employed, so you can't write off your laptop. I can. Do I? Not really, actually. I take a lot less in deductions than I'm actually legally owed and probably pay a couple $1,000s a year just so that I can sleep at night because I'm already an insomniac and I don't need the goddamn stress of that paranoia. I make sure to dot every I, cross every T, and take far less off of my taxes than I'm owed, even though I also get hit with the self-employment penalty just out of paranoia. Because, I mean, even if Donald Trump is the president, the IRS, look at the federal agencies. They're not going to listen to him. Don't skeeve on your taxes. While it is the right thing to do, it is not the wise thing to do. And you can get absolutely fucked in your asshole. Victor Vela, you are a Jew. No, actually, I'm 100% Goyim. I had some ham earlier. Although I am interested in Kabbalah. Jewish mysticism is fascinating, actually. You know, gematria and so forth. Flytrap. Now we know you and Razor Fist are not the same person. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's pretty straight edge, I think. He doesn't do any. He's a germaphobe, and you know, he doesn't like pineapple on his pizza, which means clearly he's a little bit on the insane side. No, I've had plenty of high and drunk party times in my day. I would advise people not to do the drunken times, by the way, officially. Don't use alcohol if you're not an alcoholic. Leave it alone because it has calories. Just think of your figure. And when you get a little bit older and you've noticed that little bit of pudge, it becomes a problem. Why do you think I slimmed back out some time ago? I'm like, oh, shit, you know. People need a skinny sticks. I guess I can't hit the bottle as hard. Not a banned account. Taxation is theft. True. Ice poll. So it's pragmatic to make sure the people stealing your money get the right amount. No. It's pragmatic not to go to federal prison. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm going to go offline. I will be live again tomorrow. I thank you to the nearly 5,000 people that watched live, and we'll be back with more news then. I will talk probably, if I get the chance in my docket, about Engoron's supposed, or Engoron, I don't know how it's pronounced. It sounds like an Ewok or something, Ewok name. I will talk about his purported selfies tomorrow. You're going to want to tune in for that one because fucking hilarious. I don't know if it'll be an exclusive or not, though. So if you're not watching on Rumble or BitChute or something, you probably should. By the way, really quick before I go, link in the description, cross-platform, and pinned at the top on YouTube to my books blog, where you can get literature that I've written and edited. There will be a new edition probably coming tomorrow. I'll probably make a video about it, actually. It's a homeopathic work, so it's on basically folk medicine. So I think that people will enjoy that because medicine tends to be a hot topic lately over the last few years, and I can't goddamn imagine why. I'll be back with some more sarcasm and some more insanity tomorrow. Maybe some more personal stories from when I was younger and goddamn wasted because, I don't know, seems like you are enjoying them. I've thought about making like a 4-hour rant stream where that's the only thing that I talk about. We'll see what happens. That's about all. Peace out.